What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Lasting Thoughts Podcast. I'm your host, Digital Relaxation. We are back again for another episode. And as always, if you guys enjoy what you hear, what you're going to hear, please be sure to share and rate this podcast. And yeah, let's get into it. Recording this one kind of late, but it's all good. Before I get into the main, I'm going to kind of weave into my main topic, but talking about some things I've been up to or interested in. Quickly, I'm not sure, I don't remember, but I think since the last podcast, the Last of Us TV show has finished. I don't know if it finished before the last episode, but I don't think so. But yeah, so that's over. And just to give my overall final thoughts, not to go deep dive into it, but it was solid. It was good. Wasn't nothing really bad. I like that how they expanded on certain characters and certain stories, giving some flashbacks and whatnot, helping. I don't know. At first I was worried because I was thinking about like certain stories that was like going to be told, and I wasn't sure if they would probably be told like to what degree, because obviously Last of Us is a video game, so there's no story elements, and obviously there's gaming elements. So a lot of things were cut, like the random scavengers that Joe and Ellie would run into when you play in the game, so you can have enemies to fight, of course. And how they made the infected so much more of a threat that they try not to really they try not to combat them, because they already knows like just seeing a regular infected was like a problem. But sometimes it's like they can fight them off, but it's usually like your back is against the wall kind of scenario. But usually whenever somebody fight them, like someone ends up getting bit or whatever, so it's usually not a good idea to fight them. And then the clickers, which I think there was only like 1 or 2 episodes where they actually like had combat with the clickers, and they show like how just don't try not to mess with them at all. So they did a good job at like showing like when you play the game, Joel is just a wrecking ball of just going through hordes of infected and people with a little girl by his side. So it made it more realistic that they are really trying to like survive and weave their way through obstacles without really trying to draw too much attention to themselves and whatnot. So that was good. And so, but yeah, I was also thinking like, well, I guess I kind of noticed it, but I guess I kind of noticed it with the third episode, because the third episode obviously took a complete change from the game story, where the character in the story of episode 3 was present in the game in current time, but that character story was solely a flashback in episode 3, so they didn't interact with them in the story. So that was interesting. So, but noticing that they was like all the important stories that had in the game were kind of told within 1 episode, and I was kind of nervous about that, because of course I had the game element in my head that I know there's this scene where they're gonna get overrun by infected or by a group of people, and it don't happen because it won't make sense for it to happen, I guess. So I was kind of nervous about how the show would end, but they managed to tell the whole, basically, yeah, the whole game, the whole story, and more through 9 episodes. So it was a very good job. So yeah, if you have not seen or played Last of Us, the part 1 remaster / remake or whatever it is that they're doing is coming out towards the end of this month. And the show is, of course, completed, so you can just binge your way through it. But yeah, that's mainly it. The next thing is I've been working on doing music. Usually when I do music, like, I will make a project and probably take like what I do is I would like separate my projects from, you know, calling one thing a mixtape and one thing an album, quote unquote. As in, with albums, I would use like more original produced beats and have more of a subject matter through the album, compared to mixtape. I'm just rapping over regular beats and just rapping about whatever. But I did have a mixtape series called the Free Time series, where it's basically unreleased music that didn't make it to any project or just wasn't heard anywhere publicly. So I just put them all into a compilation mixtape and packaged them out. I managed to do 4 of those, and I don't think I will be doing another one because I don't have any more unreleased music like that. The others is group projects, but I'm not going to release group projects without, you know, obviously the group people not knowing. So I'm gonna leave it at that. But yeah, but this one is a mixtape, and what I was saying is, like, usually I would do an album and I would like take a year or so off before I would start to do another one, and in between that time I would drop the Free Time mixtape, which is just the unreleased music. So I wouldn't really be technically working on new music, but this one is new music plus whenever I get to doing the main project. So that's how I'm structuring it. But yeah, so been working on music because I just been I'm not gonna say enjoying, but I've gotten, like, I guess my creative bug, like, because I don't force it. Like, I wish I had like the drive or whatever the skill is to just make music constantly, because I'll just be doing it all the time. But I don't. Like, once I do a project, like, I have no, like, words are gone from my brain. I don't feel like saying things no more. I don't want to rhyme things no more. I don't want to write no more. Like, the whole process, like, I just turn my brain off the moment I'm completely done with a project, and I just don't want to think about making music no more. So I wait till, like, the creative bug hits me. Like, I'll be like, oh, like, you know, I'm just walking, listening to music, and sometime a mixtape or album I'll listen to, or artist I'll listen to, and it could be like an artist, like, I probably heard this song like years ago or over and over, but this specific day hearing this specific song, I'd be like, oh, I just got an idea for a mixtape, and I come up with a whole name for a mixtape and a theme for what I want to do, and then I start going off of, like, oh, like, what kind of beats I'm gonna use, and then I go from there. So recently I got into the point where my writing bug hit me. So I just this project is only gonna be 8 songs long, and I've done 6 already. So I'm 2 songs away from being done. And most of those songs I've done in one day. So I got that creative bug, but that leads into my main topic, and that's basically expressing yourself through creativity. For me, I find that like very important. That I don't know, it's just a thing of mine that I kind of like. I want to like, I don't want to say force, but like kind of motivate and inspire people to be like, hey, like, you guys should do creative stuff with your life. Like, I don't know, like for me, I was like, if like people who don't do things creatively, kind of like, I don't want to say it bothers me, because I don't want to sound like, oh, if you're not doing this, then you're just doing something wrong with your life. But I just, because of what it has done for me in my life and how important it is for me to express myself creatively, I feel like people should at least tap into it some way, somehow, because it's just, amazing. And there's people I talk to who want to do things, but there's something that's like stopping them from doing it. And I'll just be like, I don't want to like rag on them or like, put my story out there, but because I be in the same boat too. Like, there was obviously just a point in my life where I would never imagine I would be sitting here doing a podcast. I am 60, well, this episode is going to be 65. I'm 65 episodes, and plus if you want to count my previous podcast, which actually wasn't that long. I think we only lasted like 6 episodes. But if you want to count that, it's like 60 plus episodes in, and I'm gotten to the point where I'm like comfortable with just sitting here, just me and a mic, just talking about things, like, and even at that, like talking about personal things that I don't even like, some people I don't even tell like openly. Like, I'm just comfortable talking about it here because I find how important and therapeutic it is for me just to get things out my mind, because I do obviously talk about having well, the whole point of this episode, having outlets and creative ways to get things out your mind and express yourself. But also, if you have like that one person, be it a friend or a family member or a significant other. For me, I have my best friend, but she's busy a lot. So I can't constantly just run to her every time I got to get something off my mind. So obviously, having other ways to express things on my mind is good. So having this podcast to talk about the things that bother me or the things that have bothered me. I don't really talk about the things that bother me currently, because I'm in the point of my life where if it really bothers me, I will talk about it slightly. Like, yeah, like, I had a bad day, like a lot of stuff was happening, but I won't try to harp on it too much. If it's something that's like something bad that happened to me or something just troubling happened to me now, but I get hit with like a memory of this has happened to me like a few years ago, and then I'll try to correlate it into an episode topic. But if it's just one thing and it just happened this once every blue moon, I'm not gonna trip over it and make a whole podcast talking about it, because I'm at the point where I'm more better with like not accepting, but like real understanding that things happen, and it's a matter of how you deal with it, how you overcome it. So for me, I'm not gonna be constantly, once something troubling happens to me, like, oh, so you guys won't believe what happens to me, like, because the title of the podcast is Relaxing Thoughts. I don't want this to become my ranting podcast. I was gonna say rant and thought podcast, but I don't know. But my rant podcast, where I just constantly just talk about negative stuff. I talk about negative things, but I try to touch it up with like a possible direction you can go to help deal with these things, because it's a direction I went. So for me, when I was at my lowest point, and I given up pretty much all the things that I used to do, tapping into my creative side is what helped me push through, which, starting with music, and then doing art, doing some drawings here and there, which eventually I went to school for art, so I got more better at doing that. And of course gaming, but I wanted to do more with gaming, so eventually I got into doing YouTube, learning how to make my own videos and edit videos, making the thumbnails. I do just about everything by myself. I do my own podcast, I do my music, I do my YouTube. When I'm not too lazy, I do my TikTok and my Twitch by myself. So it can get overwhelming, and so some things do get pushed to the wayside, like streaming. I don't think I have streamed in a year. So it can happen, and the only thing that's stopping me from streaming is honestly me, because like I have games I can stream, of course, but I'm too like detailed. Like I want to have like a streaming theme. Like I want people to come to my theme and feel a certain vibe when they come in. I want to play certain games, not just whatever that's popular or whatever that's just random. Like I wanted to have a meaning of why I'm playing this game. So that's me, like just being very picky. So that's the only reason why I haven't been streaming. But other than that, of course, like I said, just having other ways to express yourself. So yeah, there's of course other ways people can express themselves. I mean, I guess it's technically creative, but doing some writing, not music, but writing stories or whatever. That's something I tapped into, and I guess that's kind of creative, because you're thinking of a whole world or whatever. What I tend to do is I get inspired by things that I have seen, like anime or even some games or a movie, and I would make my own. Either I make my own original story, but have elements of like a specific anime I have seen before, and just do it like my way. If I was to do it, like say if it hasn't been done before and I had the opportunity to do it, this is how I would do it. Like for example, there's an anime called Carol and Tuesday, which is basically a quick summary. It's basically a musical anime, where it's about these two girls who are just musically gifted, and they just form like a little duo group and just take the music world by storm. Well, not really, but slowly moving their way up from like being unknown girls to performing on bigger stage. So I basically take that and like, there's also another anime too that's like that, which is called Beck, Mongolian Chop Squad. And it's similar. It's a group of high school students who form a band, and basically you watch like their progress of how they keep performing, like they keep practicing this one song and performing it. So it gets to a point where it's like, like you can see like the growth of like when they was learning this one song. So like by the time they like perform it like the second time, you kind of know the song because you watch like the whole episode of them like practicing how to do the song. So it's good. So I basically combine those two elements and say, what if these shows didn't exist, but because I'm inspired by them, how would I do it my way? Of course, me being me, I would focus on, well, my main characters would be more hip hop oriented. It's kind of rock hop. It's hard to explain. Not hard to explain, but it's not traditional hip hop. Like, it's like a legit rock band, but they play like a hip hop element in their music as well, that the rapper can rap on it, but it still feels rock and roll type music. So I do that, and of course I'll have different characters who have, they are more into different genres. There'll be more pop stars or more traditional rappers, as the other animes have them as well. So there's that. Just writing stories. The only other problem with that for me, of course, is I think of so much stories, but like to sit there and write them all is crazy. Like, I wrote my own Silent Hill spinoff because I got so engulfed by like the whole lore, and I ended up writing like a whole, like, I don't even remember how many pages I wrote. Probably not a lot, because I don't write, the way I write my stories is not like a novel or book. I don't write it in details. I write my stories with the intent of it being adapted into an anime or a movie or a show. So I write in a format that's like, you get the gist of what's supposed to happen. Now it's a way to like, it's like, if I was to like, oh, this is the gist of the story. Now, I hand it over to someone who can write dialogue. Like, you write what they would say in these scenes. And then of course, how would you film this or animate this or draw this scene? So that's all. But yeah, just different ways to express yourself. So finding creative ways to express yourself is important to me the most. But I'm sure there's other ways for other people. But yeah, I guess this would technically be a short episode. But I can't be disappointed that this episode is short, because I already explained that these episodes are going to be shorter compared to the last time, or the last format, because I'm reducing the about me section. So not the about me section, but the what I've been up to section. So the episodes are going to be shorter, but I am keeping up with a weekly basis schedule. So for the most part, I will be uploading an episode every Wednesday. So there's that. But if you guys or someone is into longer episodes, and I'll go back to that format, but I already know one person don't like long podcast episodes, so that's something that drove me away, because I want to make my podcast with the intent that, what if the people that I do like care about my life, if they actually listen to it, like, can they listen to it? Will they enjoy it? Is this something that they enjoy? So like, if they don't like that, it's too long, then I'll try to figure a way that's too short. I'll make it short. If it's vice versa, if it's too short, I'll find a way to make it long. So yeah, it's all a journey. Never really perfect on your podcast episodes. Every episode is probably going to be different. Something about it's going to be different. But yeah, so that's about it. So of course, before we go, end this off with the question of the day, which I kind of touched on. The question would be, what is something that you find is best to express yourself? So it doesn't have to be creative expression. I can't name off the top of my head what other ways you can express yourself, but if there are other ways and it's a way that you're using, what are those ways? And yeah, that's about it. So hope you guys enjoyed this episode. And of course, if you do, or if you did, please be sure to share this and rate it again. And yeah, till next episode, I hope you guys have a great day, a great week, and yeah, peace.